say something naughty.
Were you? I'm glad I stopped you because you can't. Because remember, this has to go on the radio, Rob. You can't be naughty.
That's some bull pucky.
No, it isn't. We are a clean.
This was a lot more fun before we had to have it on the radio.
Before we were a clean family show.
How come I can't hear anything in here? Hello?
Turn your headphones up a little bit,
I'm
everybody.
trying.
Those of you listening at home and those of you in the studio, please have your headphones at an acceptable level.
You can hear me, though.
I can hear you just fine.
I can hear you in my right ear.
Those might be the broken headphones.
Jesus.
I don't know.
Does the microphone work?
Yep,
I mean, that's
I
the
got
important
you.
thing. You know, I'd be spewing some knowledge and wisdom here in a minute.
Well, after 170 some podcasts, it'd be the first time you did that. That would be
fair.
That would be great. All right. Boy, am I excited for this show. See? Oh, and I see. Okay. I knew you were going to do that too. I knew you were going to bring in another one instead of just sipping and enjoying. So you're not even going to have this? Is that what I'm getting out of your pour?
Talk about this second.
So, I see. There's a first half and a second half pour for you. Is that what this is?
Well, for today, because I know what we're having on the second half. I had to mentally prepare myself for the second half with the first half.
What we're having in the second half, and I don't want to spoil it quite yet. Okay.
What we're having in the first half is Four Roses small batch, and it's delicious.
It is. There's Four Roses. I've been reading so much more about these guys lately, and I love everything about Four Roses and the way they do things and how they are one of the most consistent good whiskey pours that you can get. You've got your high-end stuff that everybody loves, that everybody seeks, but then you have the old standbys like Four Roses and Evan Williams that are just good whiskey, and you could buy 3 bottles of Evan Williams for what you could buy, dang near anything else.
I will tell you that when I bought what we're having in the second half, I also bought myself a nice big bottle of Jack No. 7 and an old Granddad 114, and I was way more excited about those two than the second half.
Well, it'll all go without saying once they find out what we're drinking. Okay, that whole old Granddad 114 deal, though, I'm still not real happy about that.
Yeah, about them. We got word that it wasn't gonna be distributed anymore.
And I don't want to call him out because he might listen to the podcast, but the guy that told us that is somebody I consider super knowledgeable in the field, and either he got bad intel or he passed on bad intel. I don't know which one it was.
Who was it? Was it Bruner?
No, it wasn't.
Bruner?
Dan has never screwed us or steered us wrong. Okay?
Has he?
No, he hasn't.
I bet we could come up with a time.
I don't think he has. I think
he's either screwed us or steered us wrong.
He's never screwed us at all. But steered us wrong now? Okay, maybe.
Remind me of when you were...
Yeah, that's what he's going to do. He's going to get right on there to remind you of that faux pas. But apparently that can be found and it's really good.
I don't think it's as... I have looked before, and it hasn't been everywhere that it used to be, but I found it at today.
Right. And I don't know. But we were told...
I was holding on to a bottle because I thought it wasn't good. And
me too.
Now I can just drink it, so I'm happy.
Right. It was about 3 years ago when we found that out, and then we found out it wasn't true. Okay. So, what I kind of want to talk about in this first half, because we've touched around this before a little bit, about higher proof whiskeys, but I'm talking the highest.
And when he says he touched around it, I really enjoyed it.
With it, of the highest proof whiskeys. So what is the highest proof? Well, I know what it is. The highest proof whiskey you've ever drank.
Coy Hill.
Coy Hill, right. And what did that come in at? Do you remember?
I think the one we had was at the whiskey tasting up on the hill during the rally, and it was like 144.8, maybe, something like that.
That's not even legal to take on an airplane, according to the FAA.
We have trucks.
But is it necessary?
Necessary isn't what I was just having the conversation today about Coy Hill, oddly enough, and necessary was probably a stretch. But the thing that got me so much with that one in particular, I think I've said this 100 times, is how flavorful it was, and it wasn't just all burn. Now, I don't know if that stands true for everything that is reaching that 140 level.
But maybe is it because of your love of Jack Daniels, you tasted past that burn a little bit? Because I remember having it with you when we were talking with
Is that where you burst into flames?
God, it felt like it.
You didn't have that though while we were talking with Lexi.
Yes, I did. Because she said, "Go ahead and open it and pour it," and you said, "Wow, this is Coy Hill. I got to try this." I'm like, "Yeah, we do have to try this because I'll never get another chance to do it." And then I remember you going, "Wow, this is really good." And she's like, "Isn't this great?" And I'm over there going, "Yeah, yep, this sure is tasty," but it wasn't. So that's why I'm asking, do you think you tasted past that just because you're a Jack Daniel's fan?
I could be. I do think, because I've had this conversation with multiple people, the people that like it really like it. And they're not all, generally speaking, Jack Daniel's fans. But the people that like that heavy Coy Hill in this example from Jack Daniel's, they love it. I mean, Tucker was a huge fan. If he could get another bottle get his hands on another bottle now, I think he would do about anything. I mean, he loved it, and I've had it on a couple of different occasions. I haven't opened the bottle that I have, but I'm not sure I could do that on a regular basis.
Do you think you're going to open that bottle of yours ever?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not opposed to it.
Right.
Because I would. The problem I have right now is that there's 100 other bottles that are open, and if somebody really wanted to try it, I'd open one of them. But
I mean, if you ever do, I would like to try it again. Now that I've grown up a touch when it comes to drinking some of this, and now I can easily go to a bottle of whiskey and have it neat for the first time, where I couldn't do that 3-4 years ago. There was no way. I had to cut it, had to be over ice, had to be something. But I appreciate it now. But we've had some of that. What did we just have recently that was, well, we had the one that was a little Bernie, which was that Stag.
Yeah.
Which was 130, right? Or was it 120, between 125 and 130, I think.
Yeah.
In that range. Anyway, it was really, really good.
120 something, I think is what it was.
But then when I went to something that was around 85, 90, like this just tastes better to me. Because that alcohol on it is so amazingly strong.
I don't think they're all. I mean, we've had this discussion. Not everything that comes in at the proof that Ryan is drinking these things and sipping on these things, they don't all drink the same.
Remember when I had to tell myself that I was a big fan of Lafroig? No, I'm sorry, not Lafroig, but Lagavulin.
Lagavulin.
I'm now realizing that, I think I might have convinced myself, oh no, high proof. Yeah, absolutely. I can drink that. No, I can't. And I don't think I want to anymore.
I don't gravitate towards that, 110, 120, 130 proof. That's not my deal. Yeah. Generally I'm going for volume and not octane. Joking. Sort of.
Are you?
No, not really. But there are whiskeys out there that are 120 proof that drink like they're 140, and those to me aren't,
and vice versa though too,
that aren't that enjoyable. But there's plenty of them out there, I think, that come in at 120 that drink like they're 100.
Right.
It's all in that flavor. It's all in that mouthfeel. It's all, and again, the Coy Hill, I thoroughly enjoyed it, but I'm not sure I could drink that on a regular basis.
I mean, more than a couple ounces of it before you'd be.
Yeah, I mean, it's
blotto too,
it's
right?
a celebratory kind of sipper than a.
Well, and the reason why I kind of bring this up a little bit is because they have come out with a Bernheim Original, which is a wheat whiskey. For those of you that know and enjoy Bernheim, Shaniqua might totally enjoy this. They have a barrel proof version of this.
He's already got a bottle.
I'm sure he does. But for a wheated whiskey, which to me it generally seems to be on a lower proof end, right? Because I'm a Weller fan. I like almost their entire lineup, and they're generally in that 90 to 100.
Well, the antique is 107.
Yeah, but right. it's still that wheat makes it smoother.
It smooths it out a little. I would agree with that.
But this is 125 proof for a wheated whiskey.
Well, if anybody's got it, let's try it.
I do want to try this because I'm super intrigued by whether or not that wheat can peel off some of that heat that the corn just can't do, right?
Oh, I thought there was another one coming.
No, I couldn't get a three-peat in there.
Corn couldn't unborn. No?
No. Oh, boy. All right.
I don't know. Corn.
Go ahead and pour yourself another one while you're thinking of that. I mean, wheat whiskey, if you're not super familiar with, it's the same. It's to be called a wheated whiskey, you have to be 51% wheat, unlike to be called a bourbon, you have to have 51% corn, right?
Well, but they have wheated bourbons.
Sure, but that's still the corn is still 51,
right?
With more wheat. But to be a true wheated bourbon, it has to be 51%. What I loved when I was looking at this, it said that it has to have a mash bill at least 51% wheat as opposed to the bourbon in new charred oak containers, parentheses, which are virtually always barrels, parentheses. Which are virtually always barrels.
Sometimes they're buckets.
Well, I thought
toothpaste containers made out of.
We missed something in the aging process of whiskey.
Well, you started yapping about the square barrels,
but
or
they're
something.
still a barrel.
Still called them a barrel, I guess.
But then I thought, okay, well, wait a minute. What about the spires, or what about the?
Well, that wouldn't be contained within.
Right. So then I was going down a rabbit hole, and it says no. All whiskey is aged in barrels.
In a barrel.
You can't be virtually always in a barrel if you're a whiskey.
Well, except for
that was funny.
Except for that, what was that stuff that was made in a day that they?
Oh, that was the bespoke.
Bespoke
in.
Yeah.
One of the two. Yeah, that was all in a lab. That was Frankenstein whiskey, is what that was.
Don't buy that.
Okay, so Rob has now officially finished his first pour of this half of Whiskey at Work. So now we're going to get into the more exciting pour.
I probably didn't need a palate cleanser for what I'm about to have.
I don't know. I think this is going to cleanse your palate, pal. This is pretty damn good. So get ready for your taste buds to explode, because we're coming up. We're coming back.
Begrudgingly.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Whiskey at Work.
Now I can smell it already.
It's hitting your nose. Look at the healthy pour you take for something you don't think you're going to like.
I'm no quitter.
No, you're not. I will give you that, Rob.
Maybe it'll help me forget. Oh, my goodness gracious.
You took the first sniff, did you?
Oh.
What notes are you getting on there, Rob?
Well, if I had to guess, I'd say blackberry.
Is that what you think you're getting there?
It's a lot
hints of blackberry.
Almost no caramel or vanilla or chocolate or wood.
How much, Rob, do you know?
How much are you going to have to pay me to finish this?
How much do you know about the Cowboys' favorite whiskey, Rob? How much do you know about Crown Royal?
Well, Pendleton, I think, was named after a rodeo or something. Mm-hmm. Is that right? I don't know.
I didn't look that up because we're not drinking Pendleton.
Oh,
we're drinking Crown Royal today.
I thought that was their favorite whiskey.
This is, if you do drink Crown, you're super familiar with it being, of course, a Canadian whiskey. It's a blended whiskey. It was created by Seagram, but it's currently owned by Diageo. They've owned it for the last 24 years, I think. Seagram had it first. They produce it in Gimli, Manitoba. The blending and bottling are done
Where's
in
Manitoba?
Amherstburg, Ontario. Manitoba, I believe, is
east or
almost
west or central. You know?
No, I think.
For some reason, I thought
I think it's above us.
Kind of, yeah, central.
Let's look here. Let's zoom in on Canada because this is riveting. Yes, right above North Dakota. It's half Manitoba and it's half Saskatchewan. So Saskatchewan on the left as you look at the map, but Manitoba would be on the right. Kind of above Minnesota
west
a little
bit
bit
too. East.
Yep, exactly. So, and then it's blended in Ontario, which is right next door, which is the province right next door there to Canada.
That goes east, right?
Yes, it does.
I'm not sorry, man. I'm not super familiar with Canada.
No, I get it, but I think we need to learn a little bit about
I'm
one
trying
of these.
to educate the people.
I'm pretty sure this is Canada's most popular whiskey, is Crown Royal.
I bet it's not.
Do I have to fact check you live here?
I don't know. This was you do the research. I bought the booze.
I was really surprised when you walked in and silently handed it to me.
Well, I just knew it would be a request at some point. Knowing that you hadn't prepped for this episode at all.
Yep, it is Crown Royal.
It is really?
Yep.
Canada's favorite?
Yep. What whiskey is...
I don't know. I would have thought something like Gibson's or...
Well, Gibson is on the list. So is Alberta Premium. I've never had Alberta Premium on there.
I've heard of the Alberta Rye.
Have you really? Have you had it or just heard of it? Okay. Anyway.
In all honesty, oh my God.
Crown Royal was introduced in 1939, created by a guy named Samuel Bronfman. It's very Canadian.
Bronfman.
Because have you ever tried to pronounce Banff? Same thing, right?
There's a lot of consonants that don't really go together.
That come out of there too.
That's used all. Yeah, okay.
He was the president of Seagram.
Harumph.
And as a tribute to the 1939 Royal Tour of Canada by King George VI and his wife, the lovely Queen Elizabeth, it was the first reigning monarch to visit Canada. So that's why Crown Royal was created. It commemorated that occasion. He went through 600 blends.
So they hold on a second.
Yeah.
They made a whiskey for
the visit of
the Queen of England.
Well, King George first.
King of England.
And his wife at that time, the Queen.
Oh, fine.
Yes.
Who actually don't have any power.
Okay, well, I don't know why you're bringing politics into this. Whatever, that's fine.
That's not political.
No,
it just seems odd that you have a monarch that doesn't have any power. It's the King and Queen of England
coming to your country, which your country was run by the King and Queen of England.
Seems weird. That seems even weirder.
But they do a lot of weird things like that. Royalty comes. A lot of people will put this.
Do they drive on the left in Canada?
No, they drive on the right in Canada. My God. Anyway, 600 blends before he was satisfied with what you know as Crown Royal.
So it's kind of an infinity bottle.
Almost. I suppose almost it might have been.
This is really sweet.
But that's a lot of work we're drinking Crown Royal Blackberry, in case you haven't figured that out. Yes, it is very sweet, but it is just like their apple and their peach. It's the same thing.
Yeah, it's very sweet.
The one thing, and what we've talked about before, is
the girls will like it.
And they absolutely will. There's no question that that's going to be a thing.
Not to necessarily associate cowboys with.
No, that's not what we mean, of course. But there's no cowboys drinking this, though, either.
Oh,
they're drinking the regular Crown or Crown Black.
There'll probably be a couple of them.
Well, maybe. That's all right. It's okay to do that in today's day and age, Rob.
So sweet.
Like what we've talked about is we've mentioned when Jack Daniels came into all of it late with the fire and the honey and the apple, but they did it in a way that still retained the Jack Daniels flavor in that whiskey. Yeah. You taste Jack when you taste that. I don't taste a second of Crown when I'm drinking this. You know what I mean? And not saying that that's a bad thing. I just don't taste Crown.
To be honest, even on the Jack stuff, and I'm a homer, I get it.
Right.
I've got to cut the sweet from the Jack. I got to mix it with Jack Black. It's just still too overpowering for me on the flavor. If I'm having a Jack Fire, it's 1/4 Jack Fire and 3/4 Jack Black.
You just like the hint of it in there.
This is not, subtlety is not my specialty by any stretch, but when it comes to a flavored whiskey, I think it's way better if it's subtle and you have to go looking for it. Here, it's a raspberry. You've been thrown in.
But I think they make this to be a good mixer, and I think that's where Crown Royal really kind of shines through this, because when Crown Apple was first introduced, you saw that Sprite 7-Up. That's where everybody mixed that. And then, of course, when Crown Peach, you couldn't even buy bottles of that for a limit. I think it's because it does make a great mixer, and they don't screw it up. Crown hasn't messed this up yet.
No, all kidding aside, I think this is an easy sipper on a hot summer day. Along with, don't get me wrong, I've gone through a bottle of Crown Apple. It's Sprite sitting out on the deck, and it's wonderful. Straight,
it is.
It's a little tougher. I do think if you put, especially this black raspberry, Is that what it is?
Blackberry.
Blackberry. Sorry, I forgot already. Mix this with some lemonade. And I bet
really
that'd be
good.
Delicious in a cocktail.
Yes. They've really they've done it right. I think out of the other flavored whiskeys that exist that have gone the apple, honey, whatever, the Jim Beam is my least favorite of all of them. There's just an off-puttingness to that somehow. Jim just to me didn't get it right. It seemed like they rushed it out because everybody else in Crown was succeeding.
I'll be honest, I haven't had the Jim Beam flavored stuff.
I've had the Jim Beam honey and their Jim Beam cinnamon or fire or whatever they call it. And I just personally wouldn't buy a bottle to have and sip. But I have had the peach, the apple, and I will be getting a bottle of this too. Because I love this as a mixer. And like you said, 7-Ups, lemonades. It's just perfect. I mean, this is it's sweet, but it's still, when you think of like the midnight snack that we've had.
Oh my God.
When you think
I try not to.
When you think of some of the other flavored stuff we've drank on here, there still is, it has retention of the whiskey, which is there. But again, you mix this. Maybe on an ice cube just to try it for the first couple of times, but this is going to be impossible to find again. Because I read it's just a limited edition for summer, but I can't.
It's not going to make it to summer.
No, that's what I thought too.
I bought this at Caesars today here in town, and they said they thought they'd be sold out by the end of the day. I heard Mr. Liquor was gone already.
Well, and I know in talking with Dan that he's already got people that are like, hey,
lining up.
Yep, when's it going to be there? I'm ready to go. Let's get it. So, yeah, it's going to be hard to get your hands on, but we will have this at Mountain West Whiskey Festival.
Well, I mean, that's what we've been told. Our list is always a bit of a moving target about what actually makes it and what shows up and what doesn't. We've got a lot of it that's been delivered already. We might have to make some decisions on the fly later this week and see if something didn't show up, what we can put in that place. But yeah, right now we've requested, and I think been granted a couple bottles of this. So
excellent. Okay. Yeah, I mean
it'll be popular as heck at Whiskey Fest, I'm sure.
So if you get there early, I would put this right near the top of your list of things to get to and try right away, because it will be, I guarantee you, one of the first that'll be gone for sure. Anyway, speaking of that, we've got, we want to thank, Justin from Windsor Block downtown, Live Hospitality, of course, Sazerac, who got the whole ball rolling on this deal. Smith's as well
contributed. The guys from the Barrel House in Sioux Falls, I haven't seen what they're bringing, and I haven't talked to them yet, but they're contributing as well.
Sheila started this whole thing off from Sazerac by giving us a bottle of Pappy 12 to raffle off for charity, for local charity here in Rapid City. And once that word spread, a lot of places around here stepped up and said, hey, we'd like to do the same thing.
Yeah.
So it's so awesome. We're going to have.
There's right now, I think, 8 or 10 bottles.
Blanton's Gold is in there.
Blanton's Gold. There's an Elmer T. Lee.
Yep.
There's 175 of a barrel pick from Buffalo Trace.
Was that the Buffalo Trace?
Yep, that was Justin's barrel.
Awesome.
That he picked or helped pick from he bought from one of the charities that we're probably going to make a contribution to when the raffle's all over. It's a couple of barrel picks that from Liv that they did from Jack Daniels, and another one that they did from Maker's Mark. We can attest to the Maker's Mark.
Ooh,
it's delicious.
So good.
There's a bottle of Stellum, which I
wasn't familiar with it.
I thoroughly enjoy. I have a bottle at home. Okay. I really like it. Right now, I think that's what came in the box. It's what's in the box.
There was a lot in there, yeah. So I'm excited for this. This is
of course, again, you said it. Sheila Sazerac stepped up. This was their brainchild when we met with them several months ago about them donating a bottle for a raffle for charity. Pappy 12 is the one that we picked.
And if you are going to be in the raffle, you can only get it at Whiskey Fest, so you should get your tickets at mountainwestwhiskeyfestival.com. if you're going to be in the raffle.
Yeah. Speaking of that, there's only as of this morning, there were only 30 tickets left to Whiskey Fest.
I think we're down closer to 22 or 24.
Mountain West Whiskey Festival. Yes. Is that the one we can't call?
You can't call it Whiskey Fest.
All right, Mountain West Whiskey Festival.
So, but yeah, if you get your ticket on Monday, Rob and I will do a Facebook Live drawing the winners, and the Pappy 12 will be the first number we draw. So that will be the first one.
Everybody gets an equal chance at winning it, and then we'll have some, a
whole bunch of other good ones.
Participation trophies for everybody that bought a ticket.
Yep. All right. Well, we're excited. I know you and I got to go down there here in the next couple of days and get it set up and lined up. And I don't know. I'm going to wear baggy clothing on Thursday. Anyway.
Certainly going to wear baggy clothing on Monday.
Yes, for sure. So if you don't have your tickets, again, it's mountainwestwhiskeyfestival.com. And by the time you hear this, hopefully there'll still be a couple left for you to attend. But yeah, can't wait to see you there. And enjoy the Crown Royal Blackberry. I'm happy to get my bottle tomorrow. I'm not going to lie. I've given up trying to pretend that I'm not a little fanboy over some of these flavored whiskeys. So
you didn't have to pretend before.
Do you think people knew?
I think people knew.
I wasn't sure. I had to be careful with that. All right. God, you drank it fast though, Rob.
I'm trying to get more. I'm trying to get more Four Roses in my glass. I'll be honest.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening.